Okay, so this is a test of the audio. Before I do an actual review, I'm gonna straight up blur the logo from my work on this sweater. And probably use this clip too, because I'm being that fucking lazy right now. I put a lot of effort into my reviews and setting up audio and like trying to do ISO settings on my camera and all that stuff. And I kind of clean up the area, make it look nice, like take game footage from my playthrough and put it on the screen behind me, and make sure it's like playing throughout and all that stuff. And these reviews take a lot of time. And one thing I admire about someone like a Nitro Rad, for example, is that he puts out quality reviews by himself, basically, every 2 weeks. And, you know, having a full-time job and just trying to do this, like, as a side thing, I can tell you, like, I think even without the full-time job, it would take me more than 2 weeks to do a video, a review as high quality as that. So just for the heck of it, I want to see if I were to take the lowest quality approach, the laziest approach I could possibly do. Don't even bother with high quality audio or video. Just set up my webcam, use my iMac speakers to record my voice, and not even write a script. Just say stuff about a game. How would that come out? And I also use this as an example to show maybe why I don't do that. But I don't know, because I don't know how it's going to come out. I'm just going to say stuff, and I'm barely going to edit it, and I'm going to throw B-roll on top of it. So, anyway, this review is going to be about Evoland 1 and 2. Now, I was messing around with putting Windows on my MacBook Pro, my poor 2015 MacBook Pro.
Oh, jeez. Listen to that.
But I was going through the game list on Steam, and I found something that caught my interest. Is a game called Evoland. Basically taking the top-down Legend of Zelda, A Link to the Past style approach, and then using that as like the backbone for the game, and then throwing in, as you progress through the game, a bunch of graphic styles from NES all the way to like PlayStation 1, basically, in celebration of different game styles. And then the game style changes as you go through the game too. So it starts out like a old adventure game, and by the end of it, it turns into like a Final Fantasy style RPG, but in very short succession. And with the first game, I'd say the execution is actually mostly really good. They got a lot of like funny like jokes in there too. Every time you open up a treasure chest, it gives you like a little joke about the graphics or the playstyle or something, and then it'll like the graphics will change or some mechanic will change. Even basic mechanics like, I don't know, you can now swing your sword or whatever. Again, this is why notes are important, because that was a weak example, and I don't know, I'll probably use a better example in the footage. And I think actually, this game provided almost a frustrating counter rebuttal to me. In my Legend of Zelda review, I say, you know, not everything in adventure games has to be the fastest way of doing things possible. But when you literally have the fast way of opening a treasure chest and the slow way as an upgrade, it doesn't actually feel like an upgrade. Like, I totally get that point. Even if it never bothered me when playing Ocarina of Time, if that's your default way of doing things and you're locked in that game, it's part of the experience, it's part of the immersion, it feels right. But when you get used to doing it the fast way, and then suddenly you've upgraded to treasure chest presentation or whatever, now suddenly it feels like a hindrance, especially since it was still the top-down style. Like, they never switch it to an over-the-shoulder perspective. So Evoland 1, pretty decently executed, collection of styles to celebrate older games. It's pretty good, but it's too short. It's way too short. I want to say it took me 4 hours to complete. The final boss is also pretty jank. There's some things in the game, maybe it was just the computer I was using, but they just don't hold up. So I think the studio that made Evoland kind of acknowledges that, and oh wait, I never went over the backstory, did I? Again, here's what going over backstory looks like when I don't have a script. Some guy won a contest about making a game, and then a studio took his idea and realized it more, kinda. There's your backstory. But Evoland 2, if you want to get into Evoland, is really what you want to play, because it takes this idea, this backbone that is the first game, and it fleshes it out way better. Now you sort of have it's separated into 3 time periods, and the first time period is like the NES style. The second one is Super Nintendo. It looks a lot like Secrets of Mana, and the third style is 3D, same overhead. Now the NES and SNES styles looks pretty good to me, and maybe it's just the device I was using, but the third one was very underwhelming to me in comparison. Like, the first two look appropriate for that game style around the time it was made, but the third one is like an emulation of that old style, but with updated graphics. But I think the art direction, all that stuff, is a lot weaker in that third style. Funny enough, in my playthrough of Evoland 2, I was using my laptop, and then when I got to the 3D section, just all my attempts of making footage turned into absolute trash. The game played in slow motion when I tried to record it externally. When I record it internally, it was choppy frame rate, bad. So, funny enough, I got the mobile version of the game on my iPad Pro, and it played like butter. I don't get it. It was just a million times better in that form factor than on my laptop. So, I mean, my device is newer, and I will say there are some trade-offs, because, and I know that iPad can run much better looking performing games than like the regular version of Evoland, but for some reason it has to like access the mobile version of the game. So what I'm getting on there is probably more akin to like a phone version of the game. So by the time I got to the 3D stuff, that might be skewing my perception of how good the 3D is supposed to look, because it doesn't look that good, and I know 3D can look really good on an iPad Pro. But the mobile version of Evoland is not an optimized game. So here's like an optimized game on the iPad. Looks really good. Here's Evoland. Mobile. Doesn't look so good. But it performs well, and that's what matters. So as you go through Evoland 2, they make Overhead Zelda the backbone across all 3 time periods. I think it would have been really cool to see them somehow implement an over-the-shoulder style for the future, kind of like in like Ocarina of Time or Wind Waker or something. But I see why they didn't. It wouldn't have been that coherent. Maybe the execution wouldn't have been that good. There's a million reasons why they didn't do it that way, and I think consistency is one of those things. And that's one of those, what I think Evoland 2 does a lot better than Evoland 1. It incorporates all these game genres, but it's extremely consistent about it. Because you always have that link to the past backbone riding underneath the game, and it really holds the game together. So as you collect, I forget what the game's, like, I don't know, in Zelda you get like medallions or whatever. Not COVID. In Evoland, you get a thing similar to that when you go to different places. And when you go to different places, to get the thing that you need in the game, this is where Evoland's sense of style comes in, where they throw different game genres at you for, you know, one section of the game, to say, okay, now to get through this area, you're gonna use this play style. And that's a lot of fun, and it's executed better in this game than it is in Evoland 1. It's consistent the whole time, and there weren't a whole lot of points in the game where I felt it was jank. Maybe near the end, and it could just be the mobile version of the game, but I did run into a few glitches. For example, when there's a part, there's like a puzzle where there's a perspective shift, and there was one point where I executed that shift and I got stuck in the ground, and I had to reset the game because I got stuck, which isn't cool. Again, could just be for that version of the game, but at least for the mobile version there is some jank moments like that. But considering how much larger this game is, how many more hours this game is, I'd say it's probably a good like 15 to 20 hour game maybe. I wouldn't know what my runtime would be if I just went through the story though, because there's one thing in this game that to me was far more addictive than anything else in the game, and it's what I spent the majority of my time doing. And that's this side card game. I gotta tell you, this shit is great. It's you get like 6 slots, right? About 20 health. I really wish you could have like gone through a system where you could like increase your HP and all that stuff. But anyway, you get 20 health. You get 6 slots. There's 3 cards that appear every turn. If you discard, you get more mana to use to put out different cards into each slot. Each card gets attack points and health points, and the cards butt heads together. It even makes like a psh, like a satisfying sound while it does it. It feels good. It like vibrates. Your device is haptic, whatever. I don't know. Maybe my brain. And I don't think iPads vibrate. I think that's in my head. The attack points knock against the health points until the thing goes away. And then whoever can get at the NPCs, and then like the game ends when you or the NPC's health runs out. You get different attributes applied to each card. For example, if it's got the little red sword icon, then that card gets to attack first. So if a card has less health, then that card has attack. And it's the turn of the person who put down the card. If you got to think about this, if you put down a card with less health than that card's attack, then you're not going to get an attack on that card. But if it doesn't have that sword icon, they bump heads, and that card loses a bit of health. If it's got this axe icon, and it's got more attack than this card has health, then it hits the stuff behind it, so it gets that card and a bit more damage off the card behind it. It's a very simple game. Every NPC you beat in the game that will play this card game with you gives you another card to make your deck stronger. Despite being a die-hard adventure gamer who loves Zelda, A Link to the Past, all the way to those crude NES games that in execution are really hard to play today, maybe for the wrong reasons, but have wonderful ideas. Zelda's like my favorite thing, but this card game really plays with my Tetris addiction, and I have easily over 40-50 hours logged in Evoland, and it's not because Evoland is a 50-hour game. It's because that card game is addictive. And now that I've completed Evoland, I continue opening Evoland just to play that card game with one or two of the NPCs that were harder to beat, and that's it. And that's all I use Evoland for now. I don't think I'm ever going to restart Evoland and try to do another playthrough from the beginning, because that card game is all I care about. It brings out a similar addiction in me to something like playing Tetris, or, I don't know, Pokemon Puzzle Battle, or whatever. Evoland, man, play it for the cards. Those cards, man, that card game is addictive. Yeah, Evoland is worth playing because there's this addictive card game that's better than the game somehow. Man, so good. Cards. Evoland. Evoland cards. Play cards. This is why I script my videos.